We're removing the catalytic converter on a B7 Audi A4. This is a 2006. And the bolts that are up there that connect directly to the catalytic converter are very hard to get to, and they're super tight. I can't get them off. So I'm disconnecting it from right here on the downpipe, and these bolts are super rusty, so I'm not gonna be able to get them off with a ratchet. I'm just gonna take a saw and cut them off and then put new hardware on it. And now that's free. On top, we'll remove the first oxygen sensor right here. Now, instead of taking out the downstream O2 sensor, I'm gonna disconnect it from the wiring harness. Now this tab right here, I'll just push back on it and then pull apart. And I'll pull that wire all the way through. There's 4 bolts that hold the catalytic converter to the turbo. They're 17 millimeter, and all 3 of them are pretty easy to get to, but there's one in the back corner that's pretty tricky to get to. To get that rear bolt off, I used a swivel impact universal joint, and then just a swivel extension like this, and then an impact wrench on the back, and then I was able to get it out. The last thing that was holding it on was a spring bracket, just like the bolts that we cut off way back there. I took that off, and then now it's completely free. So we'll just pry it off the bolt. That's free. There's a heat shield here that I'm gonna pull off and give myself a little more room. With that bend on there, I mean, this thing is definitely tight in there. It's tricky to get out. This stud right here is in the way, so I'm gonna take it out, and I'll just do that with 2 bolts. With the stud out of there, we're able to get a little bit further. I got it up and over the turbo. In order to get enough room to get that pipe out, I loosened up the bolts on the transmission mount and jacked it up a little bit so that frees up space to where I can pull it through. We'll jack it up a little bit and you'll see that pipe loosen up. Now we've got a lot more movement. We're getting up farther. We give the whole thing a twist and wiggle it out. And now we're completely free, and you can see in the catalytic converter that is really damaged. I can see why I wasn't able to get these bolts out. Even with the impact gun, they just weren't coming out. Sometimes I wish they used hardware that was a little more corrosion resistant, so it didn't build up so much like that.
This thing is really messed up.
We're gonna replace this with a high flow cat. This one was from ECS Tuning, and it was about $250 total. If I put the light on one side, you can see the material, and the honeycomb in there is a lot more free flowing. And that's how you can get a catalytic converter out of a B7 Audi A4. This was a 2006.